Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. My name is Mariam Musa, and I will be guiding our conversations today. We're really glad to be having everyone join us today. Just a little recap, our theme for today is preparing the home, a peaceful home, not a perfect one. So just to dive right into it, I have my lovely speaker, Hajia and Mrs. Zainab Oladapo. Our speaker for this session, she understands the balance between faith, ambition, and home. She is the founder of Claim Work, supporting women in pursuing growth without compromising their faith or family. Hajia Zainab is the current president of Pearl Multipurpose Cooperative Society, a Muslim women's cooperative run by Muslim women. She also sits on the boards of Bratin Business School and Merti International. She is also the author of the Achieve It Already Method Playbook and the editor in chief of Thriving Achievers Daily. She has worked with dozens of professionals, entrepreneurs, and female executives globally to help them maximize their potential and that of their team. She is a mother of five, a home educator, and brings lived experience to this conversation. We're really grateful to have you on board, Ma, and to be joining this conversation.
Thank you so much, Sister Mariam. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me, and I'm honored to be here.
We're really happy to have you here. You have, well, a very good portfolio, I must say.
Thank you, Jazakallah khairan.
Okay, just to dive right into it, as we know, Ramadan is basically here or almost here. And for many of us, preparation has already begun. For many women, they're already planning their kitchen calendar, they're already planning their meal plans with their children, how to organize their children and work. So basically, this session isn't about fixing our homes. It's just basically about softening our workload and basically having a great Ramadan for everyone. So for many women, they feel the pressure to get everything right at home during Ramadan. So from what you've seen or what you've experienced, where do you think that pressure usually comes from?
That is a beautiful question, and it is very, 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 very necessary. So, where it comes from? Basically, it comes from what I call shoulds, right? So before I actually, get deeper into answering the question, I'd like to share a bit of a frame. Like the frame I used to work with women really is called Claymore, right? And it has about 5 building blocks, right? Clarity, leverage, authority, income, and mastery. And I'm going to be referring to this as we're having this conversation. So what it is here is clarity, the shoulds. That's where it comes from. The shoulds that come from social media, shoulds that come from societal expectations. This is how Ramadan must look like. Shoulds that come from family practices, traditions, things you did while you were growing up. So we now feel as though we are boxed in, we are logged into all these things we should do, designed by whoever, and forget and have a misalignment with the goal of Ramadan, which is basically to achieve taqwa. So that lack of clarity on exactly what Ramadan is supposed to be is what gets us hooked into all the different things that cause us wanting to have this picture perfect Ramadan. The perfect iftars,
True.
the perfect sahurs. Sometimes we don't wake up for sahur because it
So
happens. It's
perfect.
just like that. Yeah. So the perfect Instagram reel, perfect um Ramadan. Let it
Yes.
remain like it is not real, right? And it is not sustainable. And when you focus on that, we would lose what it is we wanted to achieve or we want to achieve in Ramadan. So basically, the cost of as I've said is the societal expectations, what is just being portrayed on social media, and then family practices or traditions that we like. For instance, I know that when I was young, it was expected that your akara must be hot. when it gets on the
True.
table, when it's time to.
True.
Well, how would you not miss the time, the window where you're supposed to make your dua, that answered dua, the window, just before the Maghrib prayer? How would you not even miss your Maghrib Salah and end up praying late? So you have women going to pray late because they want to ensure the food is piping hot on the table. That is not what we are meant to be doing. So I hope that gives some clarification in that.
Yes. So we're to be focusing on the important things and not be focusing on how beautiful our homes look or having like a whole platter on the table because a lot of people are considering.
Exactly. Five
Yes.
course meals. I've done
Yes.
it before. I know. I mean, having those, this all these meals, then even deciding that, oh, for suhoor it must be some specific meals. I remember my husband used to
Yes.
say that when he was growing up, it was pounded yam that he had to have for suhoor. There was this conception that you had to have a heavy meal for it to be able to live through, you understand,
Wow.
live through the day and just be okay. And another thing again that we need to also take care of is that even though you want to have a different kind of meal, it doesn't need to be a meal somebody says is perfect. Some people will do. There was a Ramadan I did oats and dates for sahur. There was a Ramadan I just did dates, but it doesn't mean it would work for you. So even
True.
though you want to make it perfect, right? Or rather, the focus on making it perfect or not making it perfect should also not push you into doing things that doesn't work for you. Because yes, you don't have to have a full meal during sahur. You can do it with dates. But it doesn't mean you go copy somebody that is saying they're doing this because okay, it's easier.
Yes. True.
You also need to look at what works for you because you are unique. Every family is unique. So you also have to put that at the back of your mind. What works for your family? So that you don't go on that should do this, should do this. This is not working. This is what you should do. So yeah.
Yeah, I really like the last part where you said what works for you and what is unique to you and your family. Don't go looking at, oh, this is what my neighbor is doing. I need to do it as well. Yeah. So now talking about our homes, and moving away from how Ramadan homes are actually meant to look like, or what social media has portrayed Ramadan homes to look like. So, what really should a peaceful Ramadan home actually look like in real terms?
Well, what a peaceful Ramadan home, you know, would look like. And I wouldn't want to use the word should because I find it actually locks us in. And it's a kind of it has this negative feeling like, oh, I must do this. It's not really very nice. So I'd rather not use that word should. It's really about, yeah,
Should,
it
okay.
could look like this. It's really about, being in, really connecting to what it is you want Ramadan to be. And it goes back to that clarity I talked about. That clarity. Clarity is really knowing what matters, what really matters, what is important. Without that, then you can't build up, we can't even build anything. So knowing what is important, right? And when you really know what is important, what really matters, then you can come from there. You know that connecting to Allah, being conscious every minute of the day is what is important in Ramadan. So the question you now tend to ask yourself is, what will give me that connection? What will create that connection for me? What will create that connection for my children? What will create that connection for my family? Because you are Robert and Mandel. You are basically the lord of the home, as it were. So how do you create this in the family? So it's really about that emotional state that you help to nurture in the home. It's very, very important nurturing that emotional safety that helps everyone know that whatever happens, you know, they can live through it. It's not about it must be like this. So being able to let everyone know that even if things do not work according to plan, like for instance, in my house, so we have family meetings like practically every month, right? So pre-Ramadan, we would have a meeting as well. We haven't done the one for this Ramadan, probably do it next week. We outline all the things, how we want it to look like, you know, who preps the meals, what are things we need to do ahead of time, what do we do during the month, how many and which masjids we are going to go for the Tarawih prayer and all that. So all these we map it out ahead of time. But one thing we learn to tell ourselves is that it doesn't have to follow this plan exactly. The plan is a guide. As a guide, so that we're not waking up today and thinking, what are we going to eat for sahur? Or what are we going to eat for iftar? Right? It might be that, for instance, we couldn't do the shopping before Ramadan, which most people do, which I have a different, another view about that anyway. We wouldn't be worried about the fact that, oh, we don't have some staples in the house. It's a case of, okay, what can we eat with what we have available? So that emotional safety is what is really very key to ensuring that we're coming from peace. We're not coming from pushing ourselves into a box that we design for ourselves based on some standards that are actually not necessary. Because every single standard is based on something. We can either make up the standards or copy the standards from someone. But when we decide that, see, this is about how I'm connecting to Allah this Ramadan. This is about how I'm connecting to the Quran that I'm reading. This is about how I'm really fasting. That my fast is not about being going on an empty stomach. My fast is also about my character, how I'm showing up to everyone. Being able to be connected with that is what having that peaceful Ramadan looks like. It's not about the highlight reels, as I'm going to say again. That's my take
Yeah.
on that.
Okay. So we earlier we also mentioned in your portfolio that you have five beautiful children, mashallah. So as a parent, how do you organize your home, knowing that you have full days, full hands with kids, busy, noisy home. So how do you really organize your Ramadan home perfectly with all that noise?
Okay. So the key here is to embrace the seeming chaos. That is one key thing. Because to be honest, I mean, we need to be real here. Alhamdulillah for everyone that Allah has blessed with children, because it is a blessing. And for those that Allah hasn't blessed me, He blessed them with
I mean,
children who will be the coolest of their eyes.
I mean,
The thing is that children, I know we all children and we knew what we were like when we were young. A lot of times we don't do what we're supposed to be doing, right? And we just create stress for our parents, right? Not well, it's not always that we create the stress, but it's just that because children are learning, and when you learn, you're learning in a learning mode, you make mistakes. It's same for adults as well. And for us parents, we see these mistakes as the chaos. But however, what I'd want to say here is to create a shift in how you're thinking about it. And this is where leverage, which is the second building block of framework, comes in. It's basically achieving better results using less effort, right? So it's leverage something and leveraging what you need to leverage. I'll come to it in a minute. Before I do that, I'd like to say that if we had children who wouldn't play around, mess things up, and all that, we'd be worried, isn't it? And this
true.
question is for you, sister. Worried. And it's be a case of what if they don't even do all those things? It's likely that maybe they're ill or they're retarded or something. So that is now a problem. I'm sure you would rather have a chaotic home in terms of maybe sometimes it's messy, they're jumping around, making so much noise, is not quiet, etc., than having a child who is just sitting and doing nothing because they don't have the capacity
Yes,
to do it.
true,
I'm sure we would all want the other, right?
true.
So what we now need to leverage is intention, right? Every single thing that you do on a daily basis, purify your intention, right? And let it be that it is for Allah. So if it's the time where your kids are really making so much noise that the 5 minutes you have to do your tilawa is like filled with so much noise, rather than go, oh my
Noise.
God, oh, just think of it that, you know, you are, you have this because Allah has given it to you. And
Yeah,
yes, because you already had the intention of the tilawa. The beautiful thing is that when you make intention for something, right? Allah just rewards you for it, whether or not you do it. So if you're struggling to do what you want to do, which is ibadah, because the children are being children, you still get your reward anyways. So be graceful to yourself, right? And another
Yes,
thing is that when you need to do things for them, like you have a baby, right? Baby's crying, maybe colicky or whatever, needs your attention and all. And because of that, you cannot do your ibadah. And you see, this is in quotes. At that moment in time, attending to your child becomes your ibadah. That's the beautiful thing. So it doesn't take anything away from you. In fact, it's basically adding for you because you have the intention of some specific ibadah you want to do. And then you now have the opportunity of turning the attention you're giving to your child or your children to ibadah. So it's basically thinking about it, being mindful about it, such that you're not coming to attend to giving them attention from a place of resentment or a place of, oh, you're not allowing me to do what I want to do, etc. Come to it from that place of gratitude, from shukr, that Allah has given you this opportunity to worship Him through them. So that's the mind shift that I'd like all of us to have when it comes to, having our, being able to manage a home where you have children
children.
and the children are children.
That's actually very beautiful. I actually really love that part where you said see it as an act of ibadah, because a lot of parents would just say, oh my god, you're disturbing me, you're crying, I need to pray right now and time is going. So it's really beautiful to see it in that way. And as Ramadan is really coming, it's very beautiful and important to be a positive positive reminder or a positive trainer to your kids as well, because they're looking up to you. If you're being harsh as well, that's how they'll also take it and do with their kids as well. But as you're being
Yeah.
sweet and nice towards them and showing them that Islam is actually about being calm and not being full of chaos as well, that would actually really help them to grow to be better adults as well. Mashallah, thank you so
Yes,
much for
yes,
that.
definitely. You're welcome.
So again, I personally, I know that sometimes especially for my mom, she tries as much as possible to make us or myself and my siblings see Ramadan in a very positive light. If it's following her for the general prayers or sitting down to read the Quran together, so that we have a sense of community together and so that we love it. And as we were talking about Ramadan with our friend, we're like, oh, we did this with my mother, I did this with my mom. So how do you generally think you can pass positivity of Ramadan to your kids as well, and not making them really feel as it's a chore, or oh my god, I just need to pray, or oh my god, fasting. So how would you instill that love for Ramadan in your children?
Yeah. Okay. That's I love the question as well. So the thing is, for this particular context, bringing in our children, it's bringing them in, with lightheartedness. It it ought not to be, hard or difficult. It's about helping them, with fun, to see the deen as an avenue where they can actually be themselves while also worshiping Allah. And the thing is not to demand. So in this instance, the third building block of framework really is authority. And the meaning of authority here is the ability to communicate, you know, deliberately in order to influence. So you see, having authority here is being able to influence your children with so many beautiful things. But of course, you can't give what you don't have. So first, you must also have that attitude of, you know, seeing Islam in the beauty that it is. Because you don't
Yes,
you don't
very
have that, you
true.
can't really pass it on, right?
Yes, you can't give what you don't
And
have. Really.
Exactly. So you have to have that first, right? And then in order to help them be, part of Ramadan and see Ramadan in the beauty it is, it's about involving them. Like for instance, there are different things you do in Ramadan, right? For some people, they give out maybe dates, for instance. So if you give out dates, when you do the bulk purchase of dates, for instance, get them to help you pack it, to help you package it into small portions. They are happy to do that. And the thing is that children
Yeah.
naturally are curious. They naturally want to help. It's just that we don't want them to help sometimes because we don't like cleaning up the
Yeah.
messes. Because we
Yes,
make
they'll
messes.
make a mess sometimes.
Exactly. But things that allow them to remember again that once you take it that see whatever outcomes I'm getting with working with the children or helping them to do things with me and all that, it's part of the ibadah. So even if you're teaching them to help you pack dates, to help you distribute them, or even to help you prep some of the meals or whatever, or even to take a particular chore or the other. It could be, okay, you set the table, for every iftar or whatever. Let them let it come from a space of lightheartedness. Do not demand. And of course, another thing is make sure that whatever you're asking for of them to do is not so much. Let it be small. And
So they will not
remember
see it
again,
as such a chore.
exactly. And remember again, it's also about nurturing their hearts. It's not just about the things they are doing. What are you feeding them as well? What are they listening to? You know, do you make time to ensure they have access to books that they can read, they can learn by themselves, or you can read with them, share with them, or actually even tell them stories? It's really about nurturing those hearts because without that, it's just going to be a set of actions, activities which we know is common these days, Ramadan picture books, Ramadan puzzles, Ramadan this and all that. They could do all that, but not have that connection. So it's also important to ensure that while you are bringing them in, you're also bringing their hearts into it as well. So that's my
Yeah,
take
I
on that. Samira.
Well, that's really important, honestly. And I really like the fact that you honestly cannot give what you don't have. And it's really important that for us as women and for us as mothers, we should go back to education and, you know, striving to get knowledge so that we can pass it on for our kids and the generation. Because it will really be sad when you're having the Ramadan gathering with your family and you're trying to connect with your
Mhm.
children about stories of the
Yes,
prophet, and you cannot
yes,
necessarily connect with them so that they would enjoy it as much as you would like them to. So I really think also mothers or us as women, we should really go back to sourcing knowledge so that we can pass it on to our children as well. So honestly, because at the end, I think children remember more with how they feel about certain events than just you're just telling them, oh, A is A, B is B, but they remember more about how you made them feel about a certain thing or a
yes,
certain story, or maybe
yes,
an expression you did while you're while you're telling them that story. So that's actually really important, gaining knowledge. um, so generally, I think that brings us to expectations. I know you mentioned it. I think that was like the first thing you mentioned about just doing what works for you. So in terms of expectations from family, guests, putting together the Ramadan meals. So how do you think we should as women manage those expectations from family, from guests, from children, everybody expecting so much from the queen of the the queen of the
yes,
house.
yes, yes, yes. Well, that one that has two components, right? So, very first one is we go back to clarity. I always say something clarity first. You need to know first what it is you want. Because if you don't know what it is you want, you don't know what to say yes to and what to say no to.
Me too.
So that's
True.
actually very, very important. Absolutely important. And in fact, there's even a resource that I have called the Yes Script, the Sovereign Yes Script, which is basically a resource that could actually help you run through. when you say yes and when you say no. It helps you dial up that what really matters to me. So Ramadan is for you, my dear sister. It is for you. And what you want to do is to guard it with boundaries. Because imagine Ramadan being this little garden, and then it's out there, it doesn't have a fence. What will happen? All the goats in the neighborhood will come and chop it,
Yes, they will eat
right?
all the flowers.
All up. So you need to set up your fence. So your fence are the boundaries. So you see, boundaries aren't selfish because a lot of times we think that boundaries are selfish. You understand? It's as if
True.
it's not, because imagine Allah has given you something and it's your responsibility to guard it. So if you have that beautiful garden which Allah has bestowed on you and then you refuse to put fences, what happens? That means you've not taken care of the amana. So Ramadan
True.
is an amana for you. You need to take care of it. So the thing about expectations is really about what it is do you want, and what is it you want rather. What do you want? Do you want to have iftar parties every other day? Are you that kind of person? Do you want that, or do you want to feed, send food to every family member every day? Or do you just want to have a quiet Ramadan where it's you and your mushaf and you find a way of giving charity in a different way? You have to know. And this also has to do with what interests you. What are your skills? What are your competencies? What are your strengths? So you choose based on that. Like, for instance, me, I don't like cooking. I would cook, right? But it's not a strength. I have a lovely sister-in-law who loves cooking. She would cook. In fact, at the time when she lived with me, she normally when she cooks like big, big pots of food. I'm like, oh, we're not many cooking it, eating it. She loves it. So someone like that will find it very easy to feed and cook herself. I would love to feed, and I do each other, but I wouldn't do it myself. I would outsource it. So you have to decide what do you want. Then you can now tell people, this is where authority comes in. Being able to communicate deliberately to influence. See, this is how I want my Ramadan to be. So I'm not going to be doing this and this and this. This is something you tell your family. If you're the
Yeah.
kind of person that knows that cooking sahur is a challenge, you might tell them, okay, fine, I won't be cooking sahur. I'm just going to be warming meals for you. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. There's nothing wrong with it. So you have to choose what works for you. And then, of course, bring the family in so that they can agree on what works for
Yes,
everyone. And
true.
then you can
And
execute.
supports you as well. Yes.
Exactly. And so it's having agreements rather than just having expectations. So agreements is something that you'll be able to map out. This is how we want things to be. And what do you need to be able to make this happen? What do we need to be able to make this happen? And then everybody's happy with this and we run. So it's not a case of, but this person is supposed to do this, person is supposed to do this.
True.
Take care of all that when you have proper agreements.
Yes, true. I actually agree with that as well. But I think for my family, especially during Ramadan, it's very, for sahur especially, we've understood that in the night we make soups. We warm it in the morning. Whoever wants to eat, you go and dish your food, and once everybody wakes up, we'll sort ourselves. So you will not put so much burden on the woman or your sister, because I have brothers, or on your sisters to wake up and be cooking for you. So everybody just has their routine. And sometimes I've realized that meal prep works for some people. Some
Yes.
make oats in the morning. I've heard that it really holds some people's tummy, though
Yeah.
not for everyone. Some people is really that
Yeah.
pounded yam,
Yes. Yes.
pounded yam that
Yes.
works. But I've heard that meal prep really helps a lot of people ease into the Ramadan workload, ease into the cooking. And honestly, myself, I get tired with Ramadan cooking. Sometimes you're coming from work, you're tired. A friend is calling and telling you, "Oh, I'm coming to your house so to eat your rice or something." So, like, I feel at the end of the day, we also need to also be compassionate towards each other. As you're visiting your friend, also be compassionate and also think, oh, as I'm running away from my own cooking, I'm also putting my own load on her. So because some people also run away from kitchen work from their house and go to their friend's house to go and eat their food just because. So we'll try as much as possible to be our sisters keepers during Ramadan.
Yes,
Um
definitely.
So, generally, the gentleness really changes the atmosphere of the home. When Ramadan comes in, we feel the air. I personally say the fresh air everywhere. The breeze is different. The air is
Yes,
cooler.
definitely.
Um, so for what would you generally suggest we do? Like for someone that I do 9 to 5. So coming back home, I'm stressed. Work you've maybe gone through along or you public transportation, you're exhausted. How do you think I can manage, or any sister listening, I can manage my mental health and my stress and not pour every frustration on the person I meet next during Ramadan?
That is real a true test of of the fast, because fasting is not just about keeping our bellies empty. It's also about behaving in a way that is pleasing to Allah. So one of the tips I could give there is that we learn to the art of delayed response, right? So what it means is that when something hits you, you come into the home. Let's use your example. And the kids have been home before you, and like everything is upside down. Or you come in, the maid you've paid to help you do some work and ahead of time, maybe to have prepped some of the meal, maybe washed beans or whatever, anything. You come and it's not done. I know automatically you know that if this is not done now, that means iftar will probably be late. Or anything else happens. Or you're even at work and then someone just, speaks rudely to you or whatever. The art of delayed response. What it basically means is that you pause. You pause. You do not respond immediately. Because at that point in time, you are not at your best performance. And this is the mastery building block of clean work. You do not, you are not at peak at that point. So you pause, you don't respond. So you see something that isn't going the way you want, or someone talks to you in a way, whatever, you do not respond. You pause. You put a pin on it, and then just go do whatever you need to do. If it's to go lie down for 5 minutes or to do some deep breathing to just get yourself back or whatever, go do it and decide when to respond to whatever it is. It may be that it needs a response maybe within the next hour. It may be that it could delay to the next day, whatever. But what happens is that when you pause, you are helping yourself, your nervous system, to just keep grounded. And by the way, pausing or delayed response does not mean condoling what has happened. It just means that you are not taking action on it now because you are not in the best space to do it. So that's what I'll say. I could go deeper into that. However, I
Yeah,
can see that we don't have that much time.
much time.
And
Yeah.
I'd like to mention, yeah. So I'd like to mention again that the Sovereign Yes script that I mentioned, which is a resource, is something that will also help with that because it helps you craft responses to things that you have to deal with in the moment. So it's really very important. So I'm sure it will be shared later at some point to everyone,
Yeah,
every beautiful
well,
sister that's in
inshallah.
this way. Yes.
Thank you so much for this last point. I really needed to hear that because I'm struggling to pause most times. I just want to just jab the person and be like, "This is what you did. I'm already stressed."
I know
So
that's
that was
very
really
relatable.
so I really needed that for myself as well. I need to learn how to breathe, pause, and answer later. So thank you so much for this conversation, Ma. I really learned a lot, especially for me. This was really important. I'm the first girl in my home, so most of this Ramadan work I have to really plan well with my mom. So this was really
Yeah.
really helpful for me. Generally, what stays with me from this conversation is that Ramadan isn't asking us to exhaust ourselves. Allah is reminding us that He does not burden a soul beyond its capacity, or to take time, pause, as my lovely auntie here has said, pause, breathe, because a peaceful home isn't, it doesn't have to be perfect. It
Yes.
has to be merciful, honest, and held with intention. Learn
Yes.
to do what works for you, not what works for others and your neighbors. So this was really, really great for me. And I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as I did. And I hope everybody had their writing pads as I did as well. May Allah place tranquility in our hearts. May our intentions and all our prayers be accepted during Ramadan. And may we all enter Ramadan in good health with our families. I mean, thank you everyone for your time. This was so lovely. I enjoyed so much. I enjoyed my time, really. Thank you so much, Ma.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope every sister that has joined us has been able to take something really valuable away. May Allah accept it from all of us. And Allahumma baligna Ramadan.